This is the Matt and Matt Show with Matt the Z-Man Zako and Matt Kayan, a.k.a. Matty K, a podcast for the city's backyard. Finally, there's a podcast for New York City's backyard, serving Westchester and Fairfield counties. Find out what's happening in and around your community. The Matt and Matt Show starts now. Welcome to the Matt and Matt Show. It's Matt Zako. We are on to episode 14 of season 1 of the Matt and Matt Show, a podcast for the city's backyard. Matty K is my co-host. Matty, we have a musicians podcast. It's an artist-themed podcast today on the Matt and Matt Show.
That's right, we do. We're going to be spotlighting several different musicians from the area. And why don't you kick it off and tell us who we've got coming up?
Well, yeah, we have 4 guests, and we're going to give them each a little bit of time to talk about their music. If they feel like playing a song, then they will. Some of them may play some music, others may not. It's totally how the interview goes, but we're going to give them that opportunity. And our first guest is tour newcomer. He'll be the very first guest coming up shortly on the Matt and Matt Show.
And then we've got Tony Legg coming up, and then we've also got Artie Tabaya, who's going to be coming in, and those guys are going to be walking us through their music, telling us some stories behind the music. And then who's the fourth guest?
Yes, and our fourth and final guest of today's episode will be Vinny Piazza. Vinny is he's the lead singer of the band Who's Your Daddy, which they have a huge following. They've been around a long time in Westchester, and they've got a big following in Westchester County.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, so that's all coming up next. Keep it right here. That is on the way. We'll be back in 60 seconds. The Reading Beer Company is open for pickup and delivery. Check out a variety of all the usual suspects of independent craft beer, from the American Wheat Ale and East Coast IPA to great specials like Connecticut Porter and Reading Old Ale. Order online at readingbeer.com. Pandemic hours are Friday 4 to 8, Saturday 2 to 8 p.m., and Sunday 2 to 6 p.m. At Reading Beer Company, their mission is to make exceptional classic and historic beer and ales. The Reading Beer Company, 7 Main Street, Reading.
Limiting face-to-face contact with others is the best way to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Social distancing, also called physical distancing, means keeping space between yourself and other people outside of your home. To practice social or physical distancing, stay at least 6 feet, about 2 arms length from other people. Limit close contact with others outside your household in indoor and outdoor spaces. Since people can spread the virus before they know they are sick, it is important to stay away from others when possible, even if you or they have no symptoms. Social distancing is especially important for people who are at higher risk for severe illness from COVID-19. For more info, go to cdc.gov.
Listening to the Matt and Matt Show is safe. Thanks for listening. Be safe and listen to the Matt and Matt Show. Welcome back to the Matt and Matt Show. It's our first interview with a local musician out of all the musicians that we're going to feature on the Matt and Matt Show. It's going to be a once a month thing where we bring in local musicians. Some can be independent. I am so glad that you're here. The way this show sort of came about, which, like I mentioned, is going to be a monthly thing, is you and I just got in touch through social media. I guess you heard the Matt and Matt Show on LinkedIn, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I was very surprised to see that. And I thought it was really great that you had focused on the local community and you had brought something to people's attention that was, definitely worth listening to. And again, promoted a local aspect to people that are listening to your podcast.
Yeah. And it just took like someone like you to reach out to me to kind of get me thinking. As well as one of the other artists we're going to feature on the show later on. But between the two of you guys, and the next thing you know, we've got a show. So here we are. You're a local musician that's been in the area a long time. I'm going to say 25 years or more, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. We don't want to put an exact date on it.
Yeah, right.
But you go, first of all, are you from Greenwich? Are you from Connecticut?
Well, it's kind of funny how Shenanigans, a place in Norwalk that was a local music scene for a long time, they would always kid us that we were a band from Greenwich. And we used to play down at Kenny's Castaways in New York City on Bleecker Street, and they give us a hard time. It's a band from Greenwich. But yes, I lived in Greenwich. I moved in 1971 to Greenwich.
So, so it kind of hurt you that you were from Greenwich, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I thought it was funny, just the idea that there couldn't be, a good band from Greenwich. I thought was very entertaining, and I always used it to my advantage.
Well, you could have used it to your advantage by just adding the word village, Greenwich Village,
Yeah, could have done it.
Yeah, all kidding aside, it actually got you very involved in a lot of stuff that was happening locally in the Stamford music scene with the Terrace Club, which everybody knows the old Terrace Club if they're from around here, which eventually became a whole shopping center, and then the bar Route 22 where I actually DJ'd. But anyway, So you played the Terrace Club, you played the local area. Do you know of some of the other popular establishments so it was Tour and the Newcomers, right?
At that point it was Tour and the Newcomers. Originally I started out playing drums. Again, we had a 45 on the Kenny's Castaways jukebox, which was just a really great thing.
Where was Kenny's Castaways?
Kenny's Castaways was in Greenwich Village on Bleecker Street.
Oh, okay.
The bitter end is still there. They were owned by the same people, but it was like a feather in our cap. But then we played at CD's Cafe when I started playing guitar, and we met Chris Donahue, who really fostered a local community of musicians. Like Peter Frampton would go in there. Who else? The New Riders of the Purple Sage would play there all the time. Those are kind of obscure names, but at the same time, they would come see him because he just fostered this great feeling of community. I got to know so many great musicians like Huey McDonald, who was actually Bon Jovi's bass player. I used to jam with him Monday nights at CD's Cafe. And we actually kept that going when I was the manager of the Dressing Room restaurant in Westport, one of the first farm-to-table restaurants in Westport, Connecticut. We kept that going and generated a really great local community, every other Friday night event, where people just came in, and some people would sing, some people would just listen. But again, it was a community effort to keep music going in the area.
That was at the Westport Country Playhouse.
Correct. It was right next to the Westport Country Playhouse, the Dressing Room. It was Paul Newman's restaurant, one of the first farm to table. It was really a great place.
And you were working there at the same time. We should mention, like most musicians and actors, you have to have other jobs. You can't just survive on being a musician unless you're, Bruce Springsteen, but right?
Yeah.
So you've been in the restaurant business as well. So you were actually working there at some point too, right?
Yes, I was the general manager for 4 years of the Dressing Room restaurant, which was a great experience.
That's awesome. And, it was great that you could play there as well as be the general manager. I mean, so I'm sure people like that, right?
Yeah, a quick, silly little story. I got to meet Willie Nelson there. He came in, and I'm sitting there talking to him. I asked him questions about his guitar. He called it Trigger. It was early about a 30s or 40s Martin guitar, but it was a nylon string, very unusual for a country player. But I was talking to him about that, and I could just see him light up, which was really fun. But then I put $5 down on the table and said, here's the $5 I owe you. And he looked at me and said, hey, I just met you. You don't owe me $5. I said, well, I've had the privilege of playing your songs more than once, and I thought I'd pay the royalties right to the man himself.
Did he take it?
Yes, he did. He smiled. He thought it was great.
He didn't want to insult you. What a classy guy, Willie Nelson. That's awesome. What was he doing in Westport?
Well, the manager of Willie Nelson's family, Mark, I forget his last name, but he was a regular customer. He would come in quite a bit to the dressing room. He was friends with Michelle Nishan, who was the owner there.
And a very popular chef, right?
Absolutely, yeah. He spearheaded the farm to table rebirth, if you will. He kind of brought it out here. He started it in the city and brought it out to Westport, Connecticut, and did a really good job with it.
So let's talk about where people can hear your music. You said you're on Spotify, right?
Yes, correct. Spotify is it's very interesting. I started with CD Baby when everybody was listening to CDs, man. Who would have thought that CDs would have just gone by the wayside? But exactly. From CD Baby, with the digital distribution, and that's not easy to say, I'm available on Spotify, Apple Music, and even Tidal, I found out. There's probably somewhere else you can find me, but again, digitally available on those music platforms.
Who are some of your favorite artists?
It's funny, people ask me that all the time. It's really hard to pinpoint that down. I'd say one of the bands that really had the biggest influence on me is the Beatles. And I know it's cliche, but boy, they really did. Playing with Ronnie Spector, I was her guitar player for a short time. That really brought me back to another whole genre of music, and I kind of incorporated some of that into my songwriting.
You played with Ronnie Spector?
Yes, I did. And it was a great experience. We played actually at the 21 Club in New York City years ago for Helen Gurley Brown's birthday, and that was very interesting. She's just one of those classic artists she's such a sweetheart. And,
she played with Eddie Money on one of his songs, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget which one. Was it Take Me Home Tonight? Or...
Yes. Take Me Home Tonight is the one that she is a guest vocalist on.
So, and you mentioned you've played with Bon Jovi's bass player?
Yes, Huey McDonald. What a wonderful guy. When he was 17, I forget what studio he was involved with, but it happened to be a relation to John Bon Jovi, who was a gopher, if you will. Go get us some coffee, And he said to Huey at one point, because Huey would just kind of hang around and get jobs as a bass player. He was kind of their house bass player, if you will. And I forget what studio it was, but Bon Jovi looked at Huey one day and says, I'm going to be a star. And Huey says, I'll help you out. And the driving bass line the driving bass in Bon Jovi's music is really because of Huey. And
really? Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is great. Why don't you play something for us? You got a short song you can
I'll play a little bit of a song that's available on Spotify. It's called Google It, because it's something we seem to be doing quite a bit these days.
Oh, go ahead.
Got the need for info. Got the place for you to go. Google it. You can Google it. Strike some keys, if you please, and Google it. Questions on your mind, answers you will find. Google it. You can Google it. Strike some keys, if you please, and Google it.
Nice.
Google it.
That is so cool, because as soon as you played that, it reminded me of going to see Tom Petty in the band, his first band, Mudcrutch. Well, the first band that got signed at the Capitol Theater in Portchester. And he brought that up in the middle of a couple songs. And I guess he was talking about the musicians. And he said, Google them, just like we all do, how we use Google. He was really, into the Google thing. So that's kind of cool how you came up with that too. How are you doing as a musician, just kind of not being able to play out live? I mean, how is this affecting you mentally?
It's definitely difficult. That's you gain so much energy from performing live with people. I do, however, have my two kids with me, and we play as a family, which is just awesome. My son is writing songs, and at some point, they'll get out. So we've been dealing with it by playing amongst ourselves. Oh. But I can't wait. I can't wait to get out and start playing in front of people again.
That is great. Thanks so much, Tor. It's good to connect with you, and I appreciate you coming on the show. So take care of yourself, and I'm glad you're bonding with your family musically.
That's it. Matt, thank you for your time, and thanks for thinking of me. Let's keep this musical community going. Thank you, sir.
You got it, buddy. More to come next on the Matt and Matt Show. More local musicians on the way next. Keep it here.
Sign of the Whale is now open for brunch, lunch, and dinner. Serving everything from fresh East Coast oysters, house-made pizzas, amazing burgers, and large plates, such as their incredible herb pan-roasted meat platter for two. And of course, the Whale is serving its signature cocktails, such as the famous Whaler's Sangria, Moscow Mule, and the Whale Arita. It's the perfect spot to take in this beautiful weather. Also offering takeout and delivery. For reservations, go to signofthewhalect.com. We're back on the Matt and Matt Show, a podcast for the city's backyard. So hunker in the bunker with Matt Zako, the Z-Man, and Matty K. We're back on the Matt and Matt Show, and this podcast is about local musicians. It's going to be a monthly thing on the Matt and Matt Show. And we have our next guest. His name is Tony Legg from Stratford, Connecticut. Tony, how are you today?
Great. Glad to be here.
What a voice, Tony. What a voice. Can't wait to hear you sing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, so Matty K knows you. Matt, how do you know Tony?
Well, Tony and I used to work together at a radio network down in Stamford, and we became good friends, and I started going to his shows, and we developed a great friendship.
That is great. So, Tony, you how long have you been doing the local music thing? You're an independent artist. You have your own songs?
Yes. Yep. I do independent songwriting and also cover songs.
Great. So why don't we jump right into it? Why don't we hear a song from you right now if you'd like to play one?
Oh, sure. It's an original song. I think it fits today's political climate. Everybody's talking on Facebook today, all fingers typing. We all got something to say. People getting bogged down with the doubt and the fear and the hate. And everybody's watching the news on TV, and everybody's searching for what to believe. The leaders have no answers. They need a guiding hand to lead the way. Are we making God proud of us? And somewhere out of sight, the angels are crying, the tears are falling gently in the sand. In the darkest of nights, the white dove is flying, searching desperately for somewhere safe to land. Are we making God proud of us? Oh, yeah. Somewhere out of sight, the angels are crying, the tears are falling gently in the sand. In the darkest of nights, a white dove is flying, searching desperately for somewhere safe to land. Are we making God proud of us? What if everybody woke up from all this despair and made a decision? Oh, yeah. Somewhere out of sight, the angels are crying, the tears are falling gently in the sand. In the darkest of nights, a white dove is flying, searching desperately for somewhere safe to land. Are we making God proud of us?
Very nice. I like the lyrics there, Tony. That was excellent.
That was great.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What was the name of that song?
God is watching us.
I like it.
So Tony, When you write your music, what's the experiences that you draw from personally?
Oh, just life experiences, things that have happened through the years, things that I don't know. Sometimes when you get older, you think back on things that happened when you were young, and it's like maybe that was some kind of formative moment or something like that. Maybe it was I don't know, about God talking to you or something, but just a kind of a moment, a defining moment in your life. Yeah.
So Tony, where do you play locally when, obviously when there's not a pandemic going on?
The Sitting Duck in Stratford. Used to play the beach house over by the beach in Stratford. They're no longer open, but then I was playing the Vossy's 19th hole in Fairfield.
Oh, okay, cool. So that area, so you're kind of in the Stratford, Bridgeport.
Yeah.
Black Rock, Fairfield.
Yeah.
I just stick close to home. I have a daytime job, so I stick close to home.
What do you do?
I work for a family-owned auto parts place in Monroe, Connecticut.
Well, I'll tell you, you could do auto parts voiceovers with that voice. I could hear you doing like a Napa.
Yeah.
GMC trucks.
Exactly. No, I love the voice. I love the music. Where can people check you out on Facebook, or, do you have a website? How can people check you out virtually right now during these times?
Music by Tony, 1963.com.
I want to thank Tony Legg for coming on the show, the Matt and Matt Show, this podcast specifically about local musicians. So really liked the song that you played, and you have a great voice. So best of luck. Thanks for coming on the Matt and Matt Show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Bistro Mediterranean and Tapas Bar is now open with the best tapas in town.
Come enjoy delicious food on their outdoor patio and check out their wide selection of white and red bottles of wine to go.
Plus sangria and cerveza as well. Ask about their kids menu when ordering to go or dining outside. Bistro Mediterranean and Tapas Bar with 4 locations:
Westbrook, East Haven, Ridgefield, and Norwalk on the Post Road, 36 Westport Avenue.
Bistro Mediterranean and tapasbar.com.
The Matt and Matt Show, bringing the city's backyard to your speaker.
We are back on the Matt and Matt Show. It is the monthly new debut of the local musician show. And our next guest is Artie Tobiah, like to buy a loaf of bread at the store. Right, Artie?
That's exactly right. That's exactly, you played that perfectly. Yes, that's exactly it.
Well, yours is one of those last names where it could be, like tomato, that type of thing.
That's right. Well, so if you go through my family, my grandmother was Tobiah, my cousins are Tobia, we are Tobiah, and in my own family now, there's even a little splitting of Tobias and Tobias and Tobias. So yeah,
that's
it is a tomato thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I originally was always calling you Tobia because that's what it sounds like when you see it, how it's spelled out.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, Tor Newcomer, who was one of our first musicians on the show, he corrected me, and he knows your name. So apparently you guys know each other from the local music scene.
Tor's great. Yep.
So where are you from, Artie?
I am from New York. I'm down here in Westchester County.
Fabulous. Then you.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. Matty K is as well, and so that's good. We've got a Westchester guest. For some reason I thought you lived in Fairfield County.
Well, so that is not an uncommon thing, because for 15 years I did a weekly residency up in Greenwich, and we were Gold Coast winners for a bunch of years in a row. And I've not been doing as much, but I did a lot of playing in Connecticut over that 15-year period. So a lot of people think I'm from Connecticut. I grew up on like the Allman Brothers and all the Southern rock stuff, B.B. King and the blues guys, Stevie Ray Vaughan and Clapton and all those guys. So that's sort of where my stuff rests, and then certainly Van Morrison, Bob Seger, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, John Mellencamp, that group of guys,
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, so the one thing I want to mention before you play your song, you're doing this Facebook thing weekly now on Facebook, on your Facebook page, right?
Yep. 3 nights a week.
So I wasn't sure how often you were doing it because, you know, I see on a Monday night, then it's Wednesday, then the next thing you know, Artie's back on Friday. And I'm saying this guy is working his butt off, providing free entertainment on social media to keep people company. And if anything, you know, if you tune in for a few songs or whatever, it's just nice to have Artie on Facebook. You know, Artie's going to be there. So I wanted to say thank you for doing that. That's really cool.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And you know, so the idea, I was doing Monday nights starting back in November. I started doing Monday night weekly residency, like a Bluebird Cafe songwriter thing. I do a quick set, 5-6 songs, a little story behind the music type of thing and whatever. And then when the stay-at-home thing happened, I just was like, man, like, you know, I got to play. And I've been playing 200 nights a year for the last 20-something years. And that ranges from a cafe to a dedicated music venue, you know, a small theater. I got a show coming up October 1st that was postponed from April at the Emlyn Theater here in Mamaroneck, you know, with my full band, and Kevin McIntyre and the Lawn Wranglers are playing with us that night. And so, you know, I do anything, like I say, anything from a little cafe to something like that. And then I open up. I've had the good fortune of opening up for a lot of people, but I wanted to mimic my schedule just for my own chops. But the truth of the matter is, what you just shared and sentiment of, you know, thanks for being there, is I really have found that people are really genuinely very, very appreciative of being able to turn there, you know, on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and very often say, hey, this was a terrible day, but I'm so glad to have this as a release at this point, you know, and it keeps me tuned. And it's challenging to keep changing your repertoire around, you know, because you're playing 3 nights a week to the same, essentially the same audience, you know?
Yeah. Well, dude, where do you do it? In your house? And because you got like a black curtain behind you. It's, you got the lighting going on. It's great.
Yeah. So that's what I say. So the Monday night, I'm in front of the red curtain, and that's from Red Tail Hawk Studio. And the secret be known, that is my studio in my house. And then Wednesday night is just in front of the black curtain. There's no destination there. I'm just on stage, you know, and I just leave it at that. And then Friday nights, I've been varying between doing it out in my backyard with the fire burning, or I do it in the house in front of the fireplace, except for a couple of weeks ago where I started out outside and had to run in the middle of the show. And I just kept the camera rolling. I had to run in, I had to gather all my stuff and run inside and set up in front of my fireplace and then pick up, you know, where I was. And
why was it raining?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It started pouring. Yeah. In the middle of it started pouring. And
I was like, what, did you catch on fire? You needed a fire extinguisher?
No. I forgot to drop in that piece of information. Yeah, it was like drop, pour. I was like, oh my God. And you got to understand, like, I'm set up, like out back, I don't use the lights, but when I set up, I've got a couple of tripods because I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing Facebook, I'm running another camera as a backup. I got a couple of tripods. I got light stands. I have mic stands. So it's not like just pick up and run in the house, you know? So
it's like Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Well,
water and electronics don't mix.
Right. Somebody stopped by the house and they say, oh, can I use the bathroom? Like, again, I'd been set up indoors for Friday night. And so they walked in and they come out and they go, are you doing a press conference? I said, what? He's like, your living room. I was like, oh no, that's set up for my show from last night. They're like, oh, I didn't realize it was such a production. I was like, So, you know, it's funny. In some ways it takes longer to set up here than it might take me to drive somewhere, set up my gear and play, you know?
No way. That's funny.
It's all good though, man. It's all good. I am about being in service to people, and I'm happy that I can consistently show up. And when I make a commitment, I make a commitment. Like it's just the way I am. So I actually did a few of them remotely the last 2 weeks because I wasn't here on the Monday and the Wednesday nights. So I grabbed my cameras, brought them with me, and I set up somewhere else, you know.
Oh, cool.
Because I just feel like I have a commitment. I told people I'm going to be here 3 days a week for you. For as long as we need to be here, I will be here. I'm happy for that, you know.
All right, so cool. Why don't we hear one of your independent songs?
All right.
What are you going to play?
I'm going to play a little DJ song.
Oh yeah,
it's called Caller 102. And
it's about a radio caller.
Yeah, about a radio caller who's trying to win some tickets to a show, cool. And to see his favorite artist.
You know, Artie. You know what we call those people in radio that call to win contests. We call them prize pigs. This isn't about.
Right. Picked up the phone, I'm gonna dial in to the radio station, trying to win again. It's time they got the tickets to the show. Backstage pass to shake hands, you know. Operator, can you help me, please? I gotta be caller 102. Come on, operator. The first time I called, I got a busy signal. I dialed back fast because my fingers were nimble. This time I heard it ringing in my ear. I crossed my fingers and I said my prayers. When they picked up, I said it was my cue. I said, tell me, am I caller 102? Ow! Come on, tell me, operator. You picked up? Did I win? Come on, just let me know. Why you gotta put me on hold? Oh, it's not right. Well, who is this? I heard the DJ say. I knew his voice right away. He said, hey, man, you gotta turn the radio down. Because I was howling like a hound. He said, tell me, son, what are you gonna do? Because you are caller 102. Ow! Oh, man. I like it.
All right, I like it. You know, very good, Artie.
Thanks, man.
That's old Scott Muni down at WNAW 102.7.
Yeah, the legendary.
Scotso on the radio.
Yeah, I met Scotso years ago doing his radio show. I got to go to the old NEW studios, and yeah, he was a radio legend, no doubt.
He was, man. He was. There's no doubt. I had a buddy of mine who was a producer down there on the AM side, and so I've been down there a couple times. I got to meet him and Kenny Dashiell and some of the other old guys down there.
Hey, Artie, one more question for you. So you mentioned you've opened up for some, big musicians.
Yeah. I've had a great opportunity, sure.
Yeah, why don't you tell us who?
It's funny. Just last night, I came to find out that 7 years ago last night, I did my first real, significant opener with Kenny Wayne Shepherd, who's a blues guy out of Texas. Yes. I think he's Louisiana, actually, but he's now a Texas guy. And interestingly, Chris Layton, who is Stevie Ray Vaughan's drummer, plays with him now. And Brent Pruner, who does all my artwork and plays with me over all the last 20 years on occasion, he and I got a whole dialogue with Kenny Wayne and Chris Layton, because Kenny Wayne's a Mopar guy and we're both Mustang guys. And we said something to him. I said something to Kenny Wayne about the Mopar thing, and he said, oh, you're Mopar guys? I said, no, we got Mustangs. Chris Layton jumps out of his seat and tells us a whole story about his Mustang. I think it's 67. And now my buddy Brent's doing a little fundraiser with him with autographed pictures for to raise money for food, I think, for some food drives and stuff for the COVID thing. So that's kind of cool. And then probably the most significant, I got Tanya Tucker, Kansas, Blue Oyster Cult. I don't know. There's a few subdudes, but the probably the coolest one, man, was Dr. John. I opened up for Dr. John,
right place, wrong time.
Wow. Yeah, no joke, man. And he after the show, I was in the green room with him, and his band leader said, "Oh, this is Artie. He opened up for him." We had spoken before the show, but now he'd heard me perform. And he goes, "You are a mother effer," and I said, "Oh," and I looked at him. And I go, "Is that a good thing?" He goes, "Oh, yes, you are a mother effer. You are blessed with that voice. You keep on singing." Yeah, that's Dr. John, man. He's a Hall of Famer. He's the Grammy winner.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, So I've been very, very fortunate to play some really nice rooms and to support some of those bigger name acts. And Carry On Wayward Son. That was a song that was like a staple of my high school and college life. And to be on the stage playing with those guys and be like, wow, like I'm playing with these guys. That's it's sort of surreal,
Yeah.
But good. All cool. All very, very cool.
Good stuff, brother. Artie Tobiah from Westchester County. Artie, thanks so much for coming on the Matt and Matt Show. It was a lot of fun having you on.
Thank you guys for having me, and I love being part of the backyard, man.
Thank
Definitely. You. Keep up the good work.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Have a good one. More to come next on the Matt and Matt Show. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
Planning a trip to visit family? Leaving your home increases your chances of getting and spreading COVID-19. Some state or local governments are issuing orders and guidance such as stay at home or shelter in place. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends you stay home except to get groceries, medications, or other essentials. If you must travel, follow the state or local guidance where you are, along your route, and at your destination. For more information, visit cdc.gov.
Thanks for clicking play. The Matt and Matt Show returns right now. We are back on the Matt and Matt Show, Matt Z, with our next guest, Vinny Piazza. Vinny is from Westchester County, and he is the lead singer in the band Who's Your Daddy? How you doing, Vin?
How are you, Matt? Thanks for having me today.
You know, what's so funny is we used to work together in Stamford, on this local show. We've been talking about some of the local bars that you guys have played at. And, I've DJ'd at quite a few of them as well. And that's how we met. I was DJing at Route 22 in Stamford, which is now, the Westchester Burger Company?
I think so. It's been so long.
I know, right?
We're going back now over 10 years, because I think it's been 10 years since it actually closed, but we had a lot of good times there. I used to book the bands there. I would occasionally play there, and you would do a lot of events there, right? Some of them were for charity, and it was really cool. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
I also play drums. I play guitar, and the truth is I'm probably in too many bands to mention. We always form a band for whatever occasion, but I run the gamut from playing acoustic solo in a bar to doing a corporate event or a high-end wedding.
You guys have a great following with Who's Your Daddy, and that's how it's actually Who's Your Daddy, right?
Yeah, but we spell it that way just because of other copyright. We actually did trademark the name.
Oh, okay.
In that way, but the band's been around, believe it or not, for I think we're getting on 14 years, and it's kind of phenomenal for any band that it's always hard to keep something together. But we've always had a good following, and we've always had a great places to play. So it became also a business too.
Yeah.
So it's been a good thing.
Yeah, you have this huge following. You play cover tunes with Who's Your Daddy, right?
Yes, correct.
But you're also doing some of your own independent music stuff that you're writing and starting to get into your own thing, right?
Well, I always had originals, and I always had my own songs. And when I got so busy with doing covers and that, and it actually became a job, really. It doesn't mean I don't like it. But I meant it was, 2 gigs, sometimes 3 gigs a week. And when you're playing like that, your personal interests sometimes suffer, and the things that you love to do most, you kind of forget about. So this coronavirus, believe it or not, has been a blessing in some ways for me, because as a bartender and a musician, I have not worked since March 8th. I've been completely not working. And the first month I did, I put the guitar down and I didn't do a thing. It was also, things were very surreal here, especially in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got very frustrated, and now pretty much every day I'm practicing and just doing totally different things. I'm not even, there's whatever is coming to my mind, I'm trying to put down either on tape or on paper or just practicing. So it's turned around and been a very good thing. I cannot wait to play.
Years ago, I used to do a local band show on Sunday nights on the radio back in the late 90s, and it was really cool. We had local musicians come up, and they would play Sunday nights like 10 o'clock to midnight or something like that. But my point is the music scene doesn't really have an outlet right now because no one's playing out because of the pandemic. So, I have this weekly podcast, the Matt and Matt Show, so we were thinking, well, maybe once a month, a monthly musician show would be great for the musicians. So then I was talking to another friend of mine who has been on the show. He actually designed the logo, the Matt and Matt Show logo. His name is Noel Ramos, and I met him years ago doing that show, that local show on the radio. And he had a local band magazine called Mix Magazine.
Nice.
So long story short, he's still involved with the music scene, but right now the music scene is kind of, at a standstill.
There's none.
Like everything. And so he has this page on Facebook, the Independent Music Conference page. So what we're trying to do is, it's going to be an experiment this week.
but we're going to have you guys that were on the podcast try and do a Facebook Live show, whether you play a few songs or whatever you want to do. But it's a way to get his page up and running again, because it's nothing's happening. So I want to put all the musicians in touch with him, and we're going to try and make it more of an interactive thing for your fans who are listening to the Matt show right now. And then, they can see you, because they, like you said, you miss seeing me, and I miss seeing you too, because I can't even go out and see you play,
Yeah, it's weird. It's such a weird situation, the way it's been. And the thing is that, I'm wondering, will I be have a live gig by the end of the summer, in the fall? I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
So playing, I'd love to do that. I'm actually dying to be a part of anything. In the beginning, Zoom was a little intimidating, but I've gotten used to it now. I feel a lot more comfortable. And listen, if that's the way to finally get some music out there and start getting support and people involved again, because I know people are going crazy at home.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I think it's great.
You have a New York accent. Where exactly in New York are you from? I'm
actually just 25 minutes north of the city. I live in Dobbs Ferry, so it's not very tough, to be honest with you. We're pretty.
That's Dobbs Ferry's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
Is that where you're from originally?
I really know, actually, 2 towns over, in Hartsdale I grew up, but I spent most of my youth. My father had a business on Allerton Avenue in the Bronx, and it's weird. I grew up in Westchester, yet I went to camp. I went to even some school in the Bronx. So I did spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, you can't. Well, a lot of people from the Bronx moved to Westchester,
yeah,
but you definitely have a little bit of that Bronx accent going on. The Bronx,
it's there. It's there in New York.
Let's talk Rye Playland, because right about now you were supposed to do your annual Rye Playland Tiki Bar gig.
Yes, actually, I miss the place so much. We play there every holiday in the summer, from Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day, and then they still put us in 1 or 2 more times somewhere in there. It's a great show because it's right on the border of Connecticut and New York, so we get both. The place normally has its own crowd simply because it's right on top of the Playland Park, but the crowd that we bring to it too, it's like when you have nights like this and the summer's just starting and we're all still stuck inside, I miss it so much, because we get a few hundred people show up every time, and they're dancing and they're enthusiastic. They're just always great fun gigs.
One of your big fans, a friend of mine too, Rich Margoloff, he loves going to your Playland gigs, and I was telling him that you were going to be on the show, and he said, "Oh, the best thing about those shows at Rye Playland with Who's Your Daddy is they make it fun for the crowd, meaning it's sort of like interactive. They bring you guys as a band, Who's Your Daddy?" And I want you to introduce the band members real quick before we
Absolutely.
go. But you guys make the crowd like part of the band,
Absolutely. I really try to get them involved as much as possible. And if I see someone that's really dancing and really enjoying it, it makes me happy. And I'll throw out a tambourine to them, or I'll give them the mic. I don't care if they sound bad. It's not the point, And in fact, that usually makes it better sometimes, right? So, and they love it. They feel that they're actually part of the band. Occasionally you're going to get a couple people that are going to step on your equipment. You got to deal with that. But for the most part, people are respectful, and it really just makes it for a better show all around. It makes it more fun for myself.
And you aren't afraid to tell them to get off of your
equipment
in a funny way.
Oh, no. Yeah. That has happened before, too. Believe me. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce the guys before we forget?
Okay. So on bass, I have John Taglia. It's my buddy. Who I started with the band way back in, I think, in 2004, 2005. I'm pretty sure. But the guy who started it all was Mike DiBartolo. He's the drummer. He's from New Rochelle. And it was his baby first. We joined the band a year into its evolution. And there's been a lot of other guys that have come in, but now I have Marcello on guitar. Totally awesome guitar player. Great guy. Chuck St. Troy on the sax. We call him Mikey Smiles because he's always smiling. He's our keyboard player. And the most amazing and talented female vocalist is Sheena Marie, who has done Broadway and actually traveled the world. She's
all the guys love Sheena. She's very attractive.
Yes, she's cute as hell, and she's engaging, and she has a great voice. She actually has the goods. So
yeah,
all of it together.
And the women love you, Vinny. Let's tell it like it is. I mean, I can say it as a guy that knows you. The women do like your look.
Well, again, I like to engage with everybody out there, so I try to get them going. I almost feel like when you say it like that, it makes me think of shows. I miss it so much, and I'm rusty right now, to be honest with you.
You are a very fun entertainer, and
thanks, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I remember seeing you when you played Stanford when I went and saw you at one of the gigs. It may have even been Playland, and you do Roller Coaster, that song Roller Coaster.
Yes.
Which is a fun song. Who does that song anyway? I forgot.
Well, there's two versions of it, actually. We kind of do the Chili Peppers and Stevie Wonder to mix. We mix it up. You know what I mean? It's originally a Stevie Wonder song, but a lot of people know the Chili Peppers version. We kind of towards go to that version. But
right. So before I let you go, how can people follow you? In what ways? Do you have the website, or what?
The best way to get in touch with the band is through Facebook. That's what we use. It's the most engaging. We are on Instagram also. It's spelled WHOZYADADDY. And I post news. I mean, we have gigs. Right now, we have a schedule that's booked through the fall. Mm-hmm. It's just we just don't know. It's like we just keep crossing them off as the time comes. So
there's another one canceled.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where we can get engaged, and I'll definitely be promoting the show. I think it's absolutely awesome. I'm honored to be a part of it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks, Vin. It's great to connect with you again. I mean, there are some great things about the pandemic, and we're connecting here in our own homes. So
absolutely,
and we can let everybody. We can share it with everybody. So that's great. So thanks again, and take care of yourself, man. And you have a great attitude for not making any money right now with the no bartending and the gigs, but you seem pretty happy. So you're making the most of it.
It'll come back. It's I listen. The best thing you do, and if you're still out of a job, to everybody out there, just learn something, fill your time up. Don't waste it. There's still plenty of things you can do, and luckily that's what I've been doing lately.
Vinny Piazza, Who's Your Daddy? Great Westchester band that's known in the tri-state area, and always a fun time when he plays Ride Playland. So, and the band, of course. So thanks, Vin, and thanks to the band, and more of the Matt and Matt Show coming up next.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, guys.
The Matt and Matt Show remind you to support your local businesses. Rory's Restaurant on the Post Road in Darien. Rory's.net for their menu. Ripka's Beach Cafe at the beach in Norwalk. Ripka'sBeach.com. B&B Auto Body. The Collision Experts. 26 Fitch Street, Norwalk. Accurate Auto Repair. AccurateAutoNorwalk.com. Hartsdale Cleaners. 19 East Hartsdale Avenue in Hartsdale. Sign of the Whale, Stanford, where their rooftop is now open. Signofthewhalect.com. Reading Beer Company, 7 Main Street, Reading. ReadingBeer.com to order online. And Bistro Mediterranean with 4 locations in Norwalk, East Haven, Westbrook, and Ridgefield. Bistro Mediterranean and TapasBar.com. Thanks for supporting your local businesses. Matt and Matt, thank you for listening. Tell your friends about the Matt and Matt Show, a podcast for the city's backyard.
We are back on the Matt and Matt Show. It's the final segment of our musicians, artists podcast that we're going to be doing monthly. And what'd you think, Matty K, of Vinny? Great guy, very talented. All our musicians were great.
Yeah, they were excellent. They really were. Tor, Tony, Artie. Those guys were really great. Vinny, you were excellent. We enjoyed having you on.
Yeah. I mean, Tor newcomer. He's been around a long time. Everybody knows him in this area. Tony Legg was a surprise to me how talented he was. I had no idea who he was, or I didn't know anything about him until you got him on the show. So it's just great to give these musicians exposure that some of us may have never even heard. And Artie Tabaya as well, a very talented guy. I love the way he dresses for his virtual concerts at night on Facebook. And then, of course, Vinny Piazza. Everybody loves Who's Your Daddy in Westchester County. So just a bunch of talented guys. And we're going to mix it up. We'll get some females on next time. So, reach out to us if you think you'd like to be on the show. You can comment on our Facebook page in the comment section, however you want to do it. But we will be featuring more local artists next month. So thanks again to Tor, Tony, Artie, and Vinny. A great show. Right, Matty K?
Yeah, you guys were excellent, and we look forward to doing this again.
That's it for the Matt and Matt Show. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Matty K.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
We're gonna hit the road. We'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody.
That's it for the Matt and Matt Show, a podcast for the city's backyard. Thanks for listening. Back before you know it with more interesting and fun conversation about what's happening in your community. Give us a like, tell your friends, and share the Matt and Matt Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's all for now. More to come soon. Thanks for listening to the Matt and Matt Show. Now be sure to go to facebook.com/groups/imc.fb and listen to Tony Legg performing live for the Independent Music Conference. Link is in the description of the Matt and Matt Show. The opinions expressed by the guests are not necessarily those of the hosts of the Matt and Matt Show or its advertisers. The Matt and Matt Show tapes once a week, and the information is related to the time of the taping. If you have any questions or comments for the Matt and Matt Show, please email us at mattzako@hotmail.com. That's MATTZAKO@hotmail.com. Thank you for listening.
Hey. Can you hear me, Noel?
So what's up, Matt?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, buddy. How you doing?
Good. There's a little bit of a delay, obviously. This is our debut show of the monthly concerts on the Matt and Matt Show podcast. And you and I teamed up all these years later doing creative stuff like this. And it's awesome. So we're having a blast. Basically, we are going to have concerts on Monday nights live on the IMC page, which you have been dying to get a spark under the page again, because let's face it, the pandemic is killing a lot of things. DJing in the bars, playing music in the bars, any sort of live entertainment is pretty much on hold. I mean, the only thing that has been popular lately is like this comeback of drive-in movies because it's safe, and concerts, virtual concerts. So that's basically what we're doing. And let's face it, the artists, they want to express themselves. They're talented, they're creative people, and if they don't get that left side of the brain going, they start to go a little cuckoo at home. So we're trying to prevent them from all going to the loony bin.
You're assuming that they weren't already loony.
Well, they're loony to be musicians because it's so tough to be a musician. Just like trying to be an actor, as you know, and I know, because we have multiple gigs going on these days. It's turning into a gig economy, even though there really is no economy right now.
Yeah.
But what we can do in the meantime to keep people entertained and keep people connected and feeling like they're part of something, then we can be interactive with the people watching right now on Facebook. So feel free to comment. Let us know that you're on. Don't feel left out if you're a musician. What about me? How come I didn't get asked? Well, it's the first show. We've only done 4 people.
Well, that's what I want to bring up. I'd like all the IMC artists to know that they're welcome to perform this way for us in the IMC.concerts, and they'll get to talk to you on your podcast and get interviewed, which will be really cool. So anybody that's even remotely local to New York, Westchester, Connecticut, you had an artist on your show from Nashville, so I think local is sort of a flexible requirement,
yeah,
right?
that's a good point, because when we were doing the show, and by the way, thank you for the logo, the great Matt Show logo, which I wanted a microphone in, and I said, is there any chance you can just do one more with a mic? And I got a text back that said no. So basically your answer was every podcast has a microphone in the logo. So
played out, buddy.
You're the guy, so I trust you. So
there's your microphone right there in the corner.
There's my microphone. but I lost track of what I was even going towards here. But
the localness of the artist. How hard and fast of a rule is that?
Yeah, it's a podcast for the city's backyard. It could be any city at this point, but primarily we're talking New York City. We had a guy on from Nashville, who's from Connecticut. It's limited to all over the place, but mainly New York City's backyard.
Well, how about you do this for us? Anybody who's in the IMC group is virtually local for you. How's that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the podcasting is great because you can actually check your stats of who's listening. And it's funny, most of the listeners are from like Westchester, Fairfield, but you'd be surprised. We have listeners in Florida. We have listeners in Virginia. We have listeners in California. We have listeners all over. Matter of fact, I'm not kidding. We actually have some listeners that have listened in France, and Matty K could tell you because he sits there and like geeks out on the stats, But I'll get a text from they're listening in Australia. And I'm like, all right, well, tell me later. Yeah, but no, it's all good, and this is all new and all really cool. So now, can you see the comments? Can somebody comment that they're watching us or no? Is there any feature?
They're live in the Facebook group, so they can comment right under the feed in the imc.fb group. And
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. So yeah. So yeah, let us know if you're listening. And then this concert that's live now, about to go live with Tony Legg, it's going to run all week on your page. And then next Monday we'll have whatever, we had 4 artists, by the way, if you didn't hear the podcast. Our first artist was Tor Newcomer from Greenwich, who doesn't like to talk about his age because he's been around, but he's still young, and he's still he's really talented, and he knows a ton of people. So he kind of got this going with me a little bit just by reaching out. And it's not like I didn't have the idea, but I knew that it just took a text from him to get it going. And next thing
kick you in the pants.
Yeah, exactly. And then you and I started talking, and how can we make this, how can we cross promote each other?
So now we've got 3 more artists to feature. So we'll do that once each Monday night for the rest of the month until
and that was your idea, because I thought we could put them all on in one night, but that would go too late. On a Monday night, 4 artists, forget it. Technically, it's too difficult. So your idea was one a week, which is perfect because we're only featuring 4 artists once a month.
So by the time we get done featuring all of the artists from tonight's podcast, you'll be back around again to your monthly music show, and you'll have another 4.
Yeah, I've already got one. I've already got one musician lined up, and possibly another one, and we're trying to get some females, and not just all guys.
Yeah.
But and the thing is just so if you're watching and you're a musician, for example, Vinny Piazza is in a huge cover band in Westchester. Who's Your Daddy? Huge following. Matter of fact, they're lighting up Facebook tonight because he's on. I mean, he has that many followers. But he does have independent music, but he's been so busy playing covers. But he's going to come on the show when he's brushed up on a couple of his independent songs. And this is something that's getting him to practice, because he says he's getting rusty. So if anything, it gets the musicians like, oh my God, I have to go live. I haven't played that song. I better practice.
And that's a great segue into what's going to come up right now, because we've got one of tonight's artists waiting in the wings to perform for us. So I'm really psyched about that, because this is going to be our very first IMC.concert live in the IMC.FB group with one of the featured artists from the Matt and Matt show. So I'm really psyched about it. And Matt, I want to thank you so much for this. It's really cool. I'm stoked about it. And we have been active in in the IMCF.FB group, we've been busy with keeping the spirit of the conference alive, as we always do. But like you said, being in the middle of this pandemic, it's put a real damper on going out, seeing shows, performing live, and a lot of the musicians are missing that. So I'm really thankful to you for this.
I just got a text from Matty K. He's I'm watching you live right now. So yes. Shout
out to Matty.
Shout out to Matty K. Oh, we froze there for a second. But you were on one of the original episodes, and we should just mention quickly that you were on as, your other job, which everybody seems to have multiple jobs, your grip on This Old House. So that was cool. You were on one of the earlier episodes, and this is a way now to get you going with the music stuff. Let me mention how you and I met years ago. I mentioned it on the podcast. But years ago, I worked at, stations around the area, and one of them was the local station in town, a classic rock station. And we had a local band show, and you were part of this show. I came into the radio station, and I see this guy in the production studio, and he's making a promo, and I'm like, who's this guy? And the promotions girl says to me, oh, that's Noel. He's helping with these, our local band show. So I say, hey, we hit it off. Next thing you know, I ended up doing the local show. I don't even know how it went. Were you on a spot?
I was recording a 60-second spot for them called the Local Music Minute, and it was featured around the artists that I promoted through my magazine, which I was publishing at the time. You mentioned it already, Mix Magazine. And I would talk about the artists, and I would announce their shows that were going to be happening in the area coming up shortly, to give them a little bit of a plug for, original independent artists. And it was pretty popular, and it obviously led to you and I becoming fast friends, so that alone was worth it.
Your logo's covering my mic, so no worries. But anyway, so what I was telling Vinny, if you listen to the podcast, and I won't get into it again, but the short version of it is basically we did this years ago in the 90s on the radio, and here we are doing it on podcasting and the internet during a pandemic. So if there's two guys that can help out, it's us. So we're here for you, musicians. So that's again, right. If you're not, it's funny. Everybody wants to get their favorite musician on. So like I said today, send us a couple of MP3s that we can just listen to that you might want to play live. And of course, we got to screen it, make sure it's audible and not garbage garage band crap that nobody wants to hear. But I got one today I got one today that was great, and I'm sure there's just and today with Facebook, you already know who the musicians are through Facebook because you can go to their pages and stuff. So it's easy to.
So many of them for you right here in the IMC group. You'll be thrilled, trust me. And I invite them to contact either one of us. If they get a hold of me, it's just as easy, and I can always send them on to you. So either way, they can get a hold of us, and we'll hook them up with the same kind of deal where you interview them on the podcast, and then they can play live for us right here. So we should get going on that, as a matter of fact, before we bore our listeners to death, and bring Tony in for the
viewers.
And viewers, yeah. All right, Matt. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it.
So we're going to come back and chat with Tony after real quick?
Yeah, we can talk to him after the end of his last song. Okay. That sounds like a good idea.
So you're going to do a few songs, right?
Right.
All right. Very good.
Thanks again to Matt Zako for joining us. And I'm going to bring our artist in now, Tony Legg, who's going to be performing live for us right here on the IMC.concert, live in the IMC.FB group. So everybody, please welcome, if you will, Tony Legg.
She takes my hand and she whispers sweet lies to me. Paints a picture across my mind, how beautiful. If I could, I would paint her a world with only happiness. Then I turn and she's not there. Can't find her anywhere. If my hands had never touched her, if I never stared into those eyes, I swear she was just an illusion, stealing away into the cold sunrise. She ties her hair back in ribbons and reminds me of butterflies. See the universe in her eyes. How beautiful. If I could, I would pen back those years like pages in a dream. And I slowly disappear. Nothing is what it seems. If my hands had never touched her, if I never stared into those eyes, I'd swear she was just an illusion, stealing away into the cold sunrise. Touched her, if I never stared into those eyes, I swear she was just an illusion, stealing away into the cold sunrise. Ooh, into the cold sunrise. Into the cold sunrise.
Nice. What's that song called, Tony?
That's the Cold Sunrise.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about it.
Into the Cold Sunrise. I was driving with my wife years ago, before we were married, and about 20 years ago. In Northern Virginia, beautiful, along the Shenandoah, the Blue Ridge, along there, Blue Ridge Parkway.
Nice.
And this song just started coming to me, this song about a woman whose hair reminded me of butterflies, and stuff like that. It was just a wonderful experience, a spiritual experience right there on the mountain,
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. All right, tell us a little bit about the next tune.
The next tune is it's called Pass It On. This is it's about my journey, Take from it what you will, but I hope you'll take something. I hope you take a good message. I hope you'll get a good message out of this song and pass it on.
I actually like this song, so I'm excited to hear it. Thanks very much.
Okay,
all right, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Legg on IMC.concert.
I remember staring at the stars when I was small. There must have been a billion. I would try to count them all. I hope the child inside me lives until the day I die, and I never become jaded or lose my silly smile. An 18-year-old walks the open roads of this great land. Charlotte, Nashville, New Orleans, this boy thinks he's a man. He learns his lessons hard, for he knows everything you see. I have to mention him, for he is me. Through it all, the music flowed like a river through my soul. Like a blessed miracle I thought I'd never find. And now that I am turning gray and you are young and strong, for God's sake, take this message, pass it on. I met a lot of people, I can't remember all their names. The more things change, the more we all just seem to be the same. Seeing people from all walks of life just hiding all their pain. I have to mention them, but they are me. I've seen the faces of 1,000 tortured souls, and in the night I dream of them, pray God's love make them whole. And now that I am turning gray, and you are young and strong, for God's sake, take this message, pass it on. Now that I am turning gray, and you are young and strong, for God's sake, take this message, pass it on. So when you see that ragged stranger standing in the rain, you can feel his wretched hunger, and your heart aches with his pain. When the mighty hand that touches you makes right all that was wrong, for God's sake, take this message, pass it on. For God's sake, take this message, pass it on.
Yeah. Nice.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so tell us about your last song.
The last song. Well, my wife and I, Michelle, the love of my life, we're having a bad couple of days once. And so I went to work. I was doing a double. I was really tired, and I was thinking of this really sad song that made me feel better. And that sad song was what's it called? I Wish It Would Rain by the Temptations. And I was thinking of that. It's got to have rain in it. It's got to have rain in the song. So this is called "Give Me Back the Rain."
Cool. Thank you. Tony Legg, everybody, on the IMC.concert.
She called me up this morning, and I heard her say hello in a voice that echoed up to me from deep down in a hole. She poured her heart out to me like a river deep and wide. I could not hear a word she said, all the passion had just died. If that's the sunshine of your love, ooh, give me back the rain. She said, let's get together one more time for old time's sake. We'll make sweet love like we used to do. Oh, the memories we'll make. She wrote the address on my hand so I would not forget. And I waited for her all night long. She ain't showed up yet. If that's the sunshine of your love, ooh, give me back the rain. That's the sunshine of your love. Ooh, give me back the rain. Give me back the rain. that's the sunshine of your love. Like the rain. Give me back the anger that chased away my dreams, and give me back the emptiness that's leaving my soul, it seems. Give me lightning, give me thunder, let it shine out all the streams. If that's the sunshine of your love, baby, give me back the rain. Ooh, give me back the rain.
Nice. That's a good
Thank
one,
you.
Tony.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being our guest tonight on the live portion of the show. And thanks again to Matt Zako for the podcast beginning. We really enjoyed that too. We got to listen to Tony in the interview, and we got to listen to the other artists be interviewed. So that was very cool. Oh, wait a minute, Matt. We can't hear you. Let me fix this little glitch. We want to be able to hear you. Try it again.
I was saying, Tony, that was awesome. That sounded great. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, good job. That sound check that we did earlier this evening worked early in the evening, so that paid off.
A little bit of prep never hurts.
Yeah, I mean the quality. Yeah, we adjusted. The adjustments were great. So hey, not bad for the first Monday night concert here on IMC, the Independent Music Conference Facebook page, which will air the musicians that are featured monthly on the Matt and Matt Show. So 4 musicians were featured on the podcast tonight, and Tony was the first one on your page. So we still have tour newcomer Artie Tobiah and Vinny Piazza for the rest of the month. So
Tony,
for the next
you're
3
a
Mondays.
pioneer, dude.
Wow, that's great.
Awesome.
What a wonderful thing this is. Thanks, guys, so much. Thanks for this.
We'll have to give you we'll get a ribbon or something for you.
Okay.
Can we do an encore song? Does he have anything in his back pocket? One more
Maybe.
for the road.
Yeah, you want to hear it? You want me to play you out? I was just thinking of something. It's a cover song. It's my own version of a cover song.
We can't do that.
No covers
Tony.
at all. All right, well, let's
that's
see what we can.
rules.
Can't do that, Captain. All right. Well.
They'll shut us all.
They'll shut us down. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know the people.
They'll shut us down like Gordon Ramsay. All independent.
Yeah.
So what do you got for us?
This is called Runaway Train, and it's about my lovely wife. Pardon me.
I was going to say
It's
train.
about my lovely
train
wife again with
away.
it's about a train that runs away. It's about a conflict of interest. The husband wants to play music, and the wife wants to know the reason why.
Oh, no one's ever heard that story before.
He is a dreamer, reaching for rings, living in a fantasy. He dances and sings. She's reading what wrong? Has it really been this long? She sits in darkness, wondering where she went wrong. Living in the fantasy, nothing is wrong. He's reaching for the door, but she says, hold on. One wrong move and he's gone. And that bridge is begging you to burn it. Drop the torch and walk away. 'Cause you were born to wander, so your heart tells you to stay. If she calls, do not answer. Now you're on your way to the station at the end of the world on a runaway train. She moves in closer, searching his eyes. She's much more beautiful than he realized. He's reaching for the door, but she says, hold on. One wrong move and he's gone. And that bridge is begging you to burn it. Drop the torch and walk away. 'Cause you were born to wander, though your heart tells you to stay. If she calls, do not answer. Now you're on your way to the station at the end of the world. Just begging you to burn it. Drop the torch and walk away. 'Cause you were born to wander, though your heart tells you to stay. If she calls, do not answer. Now you're on your way to the station at the end of the world. On a runaway train. Run away. That bridge was begging you to burn it anyway. If she calls, do not answer. Now you're on your way to the station at the end of the world. On a runaway train.
Nice.
That was good.
Thanks so much,
Thanks, guys.
Tony. Hey, before we let you go, Tony, why don't you tell us how we can find you on the web and where we can get your music?
You can get me at Tony Legg on YouTube. There's a couple of songs on there, and there's a lot more stuff available at musicbytony1963.com.
Music
Is
by
that the
Tony.
year you were born?
Music by Tony.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Say
Music
that
by
again.
Tony 1963.com.
All right, I'm going to throw that
And
into the comments below this in the IMC group as well. And also, Tony, I after speaking to you about the conference, it sounds like it's something that you're really into. So I want to invite you to keep in touch with us, and we're going to start those IMC.broadcasts up again with live mentor sessions and online seminars. I really would like you to take advantage of those. So stay tuned and stick with us, okay?
Yeah, because for songwriters, it's really tough. You know, it's easy to get a gig doing covers, but it's really tough to get your own stuff out there. So thanks,
You
guys.
said it. Yeah, that's why we're here. That's what we're all about. So, yep, definitely. All right, my friend, thank you so much.
Yeah. Good job, Tony Legg.
Yeah.
That was excellent. He was really good.
He was.
Yeah, very good. Very good stuff. And this is just so exciting. I should mention that Matty K's sitting at home. He's got us on the giant screen. So he put the IMC page up on. He's watching it live in surround sound.
Oh, that's so cool. So we'll have to find out what we look like up on the big screen.
Yeah. But
all right, Matt. So
you're going to be in touch with the rest of the artists that we had on the podcast, and you'll let people know who the next artist is Monday, and we'll go from there. So keep listening to our podcast. Just let me make it clear here, Noel, so that people understand. The Matt and Matt Show is a podcast for the city's backyard that we started when the pandemic hit, and we kept it sort of broad so we could have all kinds of different subjects. So we're finding that we're doing the restaurants are struggling, so we're doing a monthly restaurant show, and the restaurant tours love it. And now we're doing a monthly musician show, and then the other 2 weeks are kind of left for maybe a celebrity, or we had Howard Cosell's grandson on, who's the Mets PA announcer for the New York Mets. He's out of work.
Cool.
Yeah,
he does
had you on.
He does a great impression of his grandfather. It's eerie.
Exactly.
Oh,
so we've had great guests.
He's got that really cool website that you are now part of too, which is nowondeck.com.
Yep, nowondeck.com.
So if anybody wants to hear Matt Zako doing a answering machine message or whatever it is they do on that website, you can go get Matt Zako to do one of those for you on nowondeck.com, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, or any of your sports. He's made it so it's across the country now. So, like if you're a New York Met fan, you can have Colin do it. And so check out his website. But we're trying to just keep everybody connected through this. And it's amazing how it lifts people's spirits to be part of this. So if you're watching, please comment. Let us know if you know of bands that you think are really good. We'll try and get to as many as we can. That's why we're doing 4 once a month, because we feel like we can get 4 on within the hour and then send them over to you. And like, this was your great idea to do it weekly, to stretch out each artist weekly that we have monthly.
Yeah,
so that's how it works.
Let me explain that once more to the artists. So Matt will interview 4 artists on his once a month version of the podcast. And then what we will do in the IMC group is spread those 4 artists out across the 4 weeks between each one of his podcast shows. So next week, we'll be featuring another one of the artists that was interviewed tonight on Matt's show. And I believe it's probably going to be either Artie Tobiah,
tomato,
or it might be
potato.
It might be Tor Newcomer. But one of those 3 guys will be on here. Maybe Vincent Piazza. We'll see. We have to get a hold of him and see who's psyched and ready to do it. So I'll announce that in the group as soon as we know.
Yeah, well, Tor is very psyched. Artie is too, but he's kind of been doing his own Facebook thing a few nights a week, so it's easy for him because he's been doing it. It's just he's already got his own thing, and then he'll end and come on. So his Monday night thing will probably end just as we're starting ours. So that'll work out.
Yeah, that works out great. Again, he can just keep playing.
Yeah, he's all set up.
Yeah.
And we were monitoring his tonight. You and I were, to kind of hear how his audio was, and his audio was good. And the audio, we got Tony to sound great. I mean, Tony during the sound check was a little over compressed, and we tweaked it. And what a difference. So so as much as a pain in the butt you can be, Noel, I see why now, because you're a perfectionist.
I am a perfectionist. I'm not going
to.
I won't doubt. I'm never going to argue that point. I am a perfectionist. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. My point is I can see why now. I see the end result. So thank you for being a perfectionist, because it really does sound professional on the internet. And I mean, some of these television stations and radio stations, some of their sound quality isn't even as good as what we're trying to do.
Well, so like you were saying, man, everybody's trying to make it work during this pandemic. And I've seen so many really cool online efforts from these different shows, including my show, the one I'm so proud to work for, This Old House. They have been doing a fantastic job of keeping the fans engaged with these live feeds from all the different construction workers' houses and the different stars of the show and the different tips and tricks and things that they can do live while we're in this pandemic. So it's been very cool to watch them do that. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. And
I just
want to say one more thing to you. I think that your sponsors deserve lots of kudos for making it possible for you to do this podcast, because I really do think that you are serving a need that we have right now. You're bringing people together and you're getting some information out there and you're creating a community. And I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks, Noel. I mean, when Matty K and I teamed up, I wanted him to be on it because he was from Westchester. He had that like New York kind of slang thing going. Westchester, he, when we were interviewing this girl that works a big marketing job for New York City, he said she's going to talk about the 5 boroughs. She's going to talk about the 5 boroughs. So it's great because he's from New York. I'm from New York, but I live in Connecticut. So we have the Fairfield Westchester thing going on. Two very wealthy counties in the country that are, no matter what, it doesn't matter. A pandemic can still affect everybody, no matter rich or poor. So we're all in this together, as they say. But yeah, I mean, the silver lining is trying to make something that like a pandemic and turn it into a way to kind of cheer people up. So that's kind of what the podcast is about. Is just getting
definitely
people
working, my friend. This is definitely working. So once again, I want to thank you. I'm going to wrap it up now, but I want to let everybody know that we're going to be back next week with another IMC concert, and we're going to be featuring another one of the great independent original music artists that were interviewed by Matt tonight on his podcast, and we're going to be right here enjoying their stuff. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, IMC.